All right, so we're finally installing everything that's going to help us figure out how much water we're actually producing. So here's the gauge. All right, it's from Assured Automation. This is the 1/4 inch one. We need to make a bracket for this. And then here's all the fittings that we're going to use, a bulkhead fitting, 2 barbed 1/4 inch fittings. This is all going to let us know how much is actually coming out of the dehumidifier's hose itself. So we're going to hang up this one, and this one right here, which is one of the reasons we moved the wire. And then we're going to hang up this one in the bathroom. This one has humidity and temperature on it. So yeah, so we're going to get started right now making the bracket to put this on. And I'm pretty sure we're going to put that like right in this region somewhere. So yeah. All right, we'll bring it back in once that part is done. All right, so I think we're going to do the temperature, humidity, and the clock on the end. All right, that actually went pretty easily. All right, that one's on there pretty good. So now onto humidity. So we have them butting up to each other because we'll just put more of these coins that we find at other campgrounds and national parks. So that one's from Yellowstone, if you didn't see that video. All right. Now the clock. Now this clock is actually all brass and weighs quite a good amount, but I felt like it matched everything so well that I just had to get this one. Now the reason for the clock is I could set up a camera in here and we'll know exactly what time the humidity and the temperature actually were at the trailer. So I think that that would be very beneficial. All right, so that's all nice and mounted up. So this one thing's actually pretty cool because you change the battery like that. Maybe we could put some little secret items in there. But so I believe this is called like a porthole clock. So I was basically trying to get to 12, you know, directly up. It seemed like these holes might be a little bit, I'm not sure, but that's the way it came. And all of these, I was just going for the writing. So the writing right there, the writing right there. But so I think that that looks pretty good. So now we're gonna go hang the clock or the combination temperature and humidity in the bathroom. All right, so we were trying to figure out, you know, where would this go? And I think me and my wife kind of settled on up here would be kind of nice. So I'm just gonna screw it in right in there, maybe level with the top of that-ish, you know, just by eye, nothing too crazy. So this way, wherever we stop, we'll know exactly what the temperature is relative to the trailer and the humidity. All right, so now that the easy parts are done, let's go make the bracket to hold up that gauge. All right, so I want to talk about how I'm going to mount this gauge. I believe they just assume that you're going to be mounting it to these 2 fittings, but in my trailer that doesn't really work. So I'm going to take a female barbed connector, screw it on this end, and then I'm going to take a bulkhead connector, put it on this end, and then a male connector, put it right here. And then this leaves me where I have this stainless piece. I'm not sure of the grade, so we're gonna see if it'll bend. But what I plan on doing is drilling a big hole in it so that it goes right there through the bulkhead. And then I'll bend this at a 90 up. And then this will bolt into the board right behind it. And then this will be the support for this whole system. And I think that that'll work pretty well. So I'm going to, first of all, see if I can get this bent. All right, so I scribed a line right there, so I'm gonna line that up in the vise. Like that's exactly where I'm gonna want it to bend. And then I have 2 crescent wrenches that I'm going to try to bend it over with. You know, maybe it'd be better to do the shorter side. Yeah, we'll try that. So I'm trying to get this at exactly a 90. So we'll see how that goes. Here's a 1, 2, 3 block. I'll square it up, make sure it's 90 as best we can anyways. Yeah, it looks about good, so I'll hunker this thing down pretty good. Not really sure that this is going to get it hot enough, but we'll see. So even if it doesn't get it hot enough, it should be easier to bend the hotter it gets. I think that's about as hot as it can get it. I don't think it's hot enough though. We'll see. Well, it is bending. Let's hope it doesn't break. I feel like I need another clamp on this vise. Feel like we're just about 90 right there. Would have liked a little bit of a tighter radius, but without using a press brake, this is probably about as good as you're gonna get. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now let it cool down and then we'll start drilling some holes. All right, so I got this all set up in the drill press. I have a centering drill, and obviously I know that this would have been much easier to drill if it was still flat, but I wasn't sure what kind of stainless this actually was because there was no markings on it. And I wasn't sure if it was just going to crack or if it was bend, so it did bend, so now we're just going to have to deal with it. I'm going to put on some tapping fluid, which hopefully is going to help that drill cut a little bit better. Here we go. All right, so I have a bigger centering drill that I'm going to run through next because we got to drill this out pretty big. About just over 800 thousandths. It looked like what that bulkhead needed for clearance. That got it. Ow, that's really hot now. All right, we're going back in. There it is. Yay. All right, so I marked where I want the holes. Now I'm just gonna center punch them. All right, so all the holes are center punched. I got a board and we're just gonna send it in through the board. All right, so that's pretty much everything that needs to be cleaned up now. We might sand these corners so that they're a little bit more, I don't know, round. Give the whole thing just a overall sand, knock all this scale off so it looks better. Maybe round the bottom here so it doesn't look like just a flat bar that I bent and put holes in, even though it is. So yeah, we'll get on to the next part, which is sanding. All right, so now we're going to add some style to this. We're going to round the corners, deburr it, smooth it all out, and see how it looks. All right, so I think the bracket is finished enough. So here's that bulkhead. There's the hole. Slides in there. Put this giant nut on. Tighten her up. So I think the way that this is gonna mount best is we mount the bracket and then we mount the gauge to the bracket. Or from here, let's go put this in the trailer and then we'll put all the plumbing tape on everything to make it watertight. Let's go install it. All right, so here's the bracket we made. So there is this cross piece up here that we could go to, but I'm kind of thinking down here, right in this range, right there. And then this little loop that's holding in that hose, we'll probably put it on the underside so it'll just kind of come up and go into this, or just take that off completely and then it'll plug in to the underneath of this, and then from there it'll go out and go up there. I'm gonna put in one screw and then I will, that should line it up pretty well. I almost feel like that one screw is pretty good actually. We don't actually need to do any more screws. All right, we drilled the holes, we'll put them in. All right. So that is very locked in. I feel like I could hang from that if I need to. All right, so now we're gonna put the all the fittings onto the gauge and then put that on. All right, so now we're gonna put on all the fittings. We're gonna cover everything with the tape so that we don't have any leaks. We're using all stainless steel fittings, which sometimes is kind of hard to find, like a stainless steel bulkhead. That was kind of challenging to find. So the bulkhead is what's actually mounting it to the mount. Before I put this on, I'm going to make sure that I'm not blocking the inlet there. See, because it was blocking the inlet. I'm going to make sure all that is folded back and out of the way, not messing around with that impeller or the flow. There we go. That's more what I'm thinking. So since this is just plastic, I'm not going to go like super crazy tight on it like I did with right here, because you'll start going tight and then it'll just be like feeling good and then snap, which would not be a good thing. This side shouldn't be under any kind of crazy pressure, so it shouldn't be, you shouldn't need like a ton of sealing on it, if you know what I mean. All right, same thing. I'm just getting all of this out of the way. All right, now we're screwing that on. All right, so that's what we're thinking right there. And this nut will go through the bracket. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this internal tooth lock washer on there, maybe. I guess I should. All right, so I'm gonna contort myself and get myself back under there to put it back on. So, all right, so now you theoretically could aim this gauge wherever you want, and probably it's gonna go directly straight out with it. All right, so now we just need to unscrew this right here, and then we'll have the hose come underneath, plug right in, and then we'll get another longer piece that's going to go from there to there. All right, so I'm going to unscrew it from up here. We're pretty tight. Even though it's a barb fitting, I guess I opted to put a hose clamp on it too. Yeah, might have to cut that one off. There we go. All right, so I got a little stubby screwdriver right here. I'm gonna take off that hose clamp. All right, luckily it wasn't a long screw. Pull the hose clamp out. All right, so now we're gonna route the hose underneath. All right, so now I'm gonna figure out where we want this. Always want a nice gradual loop. Nothing so that it's gonna kink anything. Just nice and gradual. Probably somewhere in there. All right, that's pretty good. So then we're gonna take this, all this hose actually came with the dehumidifier. So now I'm gonna take this piece. I'll see how it looks. I'm either gonna go this way and then up here like that. That doesn't seem too bad. Or I could go up through here, which is straight up from that, and then twist in. Yeah, I probably kind of like that way a little bit better. So now I'm gonna press this side on. All right, that's all pressed on. All right, so that looks good. All right, now we're gonna press that on. All right, so that's 100% in line. So now nothing's going to be able to go into the tank from the dehumidifier without me knowing exactly how much. So that's pretty exciting. But all right, let's test it now. All right, we are currently doing the tests on location here in Wyoming. We've already done tests really long tests in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, and we're going to do tests in Montana and possibly Oregon, Washington maybe, and definitely in California. So we're getting some good results where the gauges are actually showing what has been happening and what has been hindering our production and what actually helps our production. Right now we're actually producing water here in Wyoming. You see we're on right now. But so this video is going to come out later, and it should give you guys a good starting point of what we were experiencing on the road in different states, so that you guys can have a way better starting point than we had, because we're just kind of shooting in the dark here. But yeah, so look out for that video. If you're enjoying this content, or if you want to see this upcoming video, you need to like the video and subscribe to the channel.